Hello and welcome to Channel Sports on Sunday. I'm Cecilia Omogbe, and of course we have the two Yemis. The other one's going to join later. We have Yemi Bakare in the studio right here, and also Jimmy Kato. They are here, and Ken Ochonogo will be joining us from London. Yes, he's back in London again. And while he's right there, I'll be here for the period while he's in London. When he's back, of course, I have to drop down. But then this is what the show is looking like this afternoon. We'll be talking about the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, their exploits in Egypt, and also talk about Senegal. What is making it so good for Senegal when it comes to the senior men level, talking about the Africa Cup of Nations? They won it. And of course, the other one for home-based players, talking about Chan, they also won it. And now the under-20 level, they are the winners. They beat Gambia by 2-0, and then, of course, they were crowned champions on Saturday. We'll talk about the EPL, what's happening to Liverpool, and today there is 7 heaven, and the next time 1 hell. That's what is happening to Liverpool right now. Chelsea, of course, bouncing back. We also touched down on Chelsea, and of course, heavyweight boxing between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. That particular bout will definitely be holding this year. So much to talk about on sports this afternoon, of course. Yemi and Jimmy, good to have you guys on the program.
Good afternoon, Sisi. Good afternoon, VSM. Good to be here. A lot happening in the world of sport. There's been a lot of talk about the under-20 AFCON for the Flying Eagles. The jury is out whether they actually did well. A lot of Nigerians are concerned that if they go into the World Cup with this particular form, would they be able to give Nigeria the deserved exactly diadem that they want. That remains to be seen. So, like I said, where the Ladan Boso-led boys, would they be able to do well in the World Cup? Yes, they've qualified. They defeated Tunisia, winning the bronze medal. But given our record in previous events, I think this is really nothing to write home about, especially with the lethargic way the team has played in this competition.
Because they won it 7 times, so you feel it's your best.
Really, I think what excites me the most is Senegal winning the competition. You know, for most of last year, we talked about what Morocco had been doing right. We now see Senegal do something right. You know, emerging champions of Africa at age grade level. They emerge champions even at beach soccer level. They are emerging champions again, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see. So the question will be, what exactly do we take from this? Okay. We see others do well. We've dominated Africa to a large extent, but at a point in time, but what exactly can we pick from Senegal? Infrastructure, Morocco. Playing quality, Senegal, Nigeria. Our ladies are not doing so well. Our men are not doing so well at this point in time. But the key thing is, what do we pick? We domesticate what exactly they are doing right to make things work for ourselves.
We have to always copy other people. I think before now, maybe we're doing something right, or we're just lucky to be where we were at that time. We're not doing anything, no. We're not building, we're just lucky. And now the luck is running out because we did not build over time. And other countries
short
are
term. We're doing short term.
Okay, short term.
Okay. So that's why there's nothing wrong in copying, especially when you see something good. It's not about copy and pasting. It's not about just copy and pasting. You have to look at your own environment and see what works for you. Okay. But if you see a jurisdiction or a clime where they've done something better, and looking at what Jimmy has said, Senegal, they're not just achieving success overnight. For you to dominate male football, we saw what they've done in AFCON over the past 3 editions. Yeah. So it shows that they are really putting in something, the effort for something to come out.
Definitely.
So, and like you said, we should not just do short term. As much as I'm not for winning a great football every time, but I need to see a trajectory.
But you need to see the quality.
I need to see the quality. So now the quality are not there. Yes, we are not banking on players of Nigerian heritage from all over the world. As to when we used to focus on our homegrown talent for this kind of, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's get our best players.
I mean, it's a reflection of how well we have not fared at grassroots level.
And how well we have killed everything youth football. The youth fund of this world, the Principal's Cup, Shop Cup,
right from school
sports, everything it's almost come at us.
Okay, I mean, it's a long story. We'll obviously not dwell on this. We'll just focus on the Flying Eagles because we want to go into development, infrastructure, and everything, putting in structure in place for sports to grow in the country. We'll talk for like hours. But then we're talking about the Flying Eagles of Nigeria. Their performance they just concluded Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt. The host nation did not even get into the next. They didn't get out of the group stage because they were in the same group as the Flying Eagles of Nigeria. If you can take a look at that game where they beat Tunisia by 4-0. Of course, we won't be doing all the talking alone because we've got our guests that will be joining us via Zoom. Once they're ready, they will join us. Mohamed Moise, presenter of Sports Right on Liberty Radio in Kaduna. He will be joining us. And also, we'll be having Dafe Otite, a sport journalist in the UK. He will also be joining us to talk about the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, the exploits, what they did in Egypt, and how we can actually build with this team going into the World Cup. Are we going to allow Ladan Bosso to continue taking them, to continue to be with the team or take them to the World Cup? Or do we need to integrate other players into the squad to have a formidable squad that will be representing Nigeria at the World Cup in May? These are some of the questions that we'll be asking our guests. So when they're ready, they will be joining us to talk more about this one. Now, Yemi, I know you watched the game against Tunisia. I mean, if maybe that's how we started, I believe you would have had a different perception about this crop of players. But because of the way we started, losing to Senegal, the eventual champions, by lone goal, of course, beating Egypt by a 1 goal, Mozambique, of course, 2-0, and then losing to Gambia. I mean, when you look at this, trajectory, the projection, and everything that we had, if we had played against Tunisia, if that's how we had played from the first 4 games, would you have a different opinion?
Maybe, maybe not. But you see, what beats me, Olo, from the onset of this competition is that the basic things in football became very, very difficult for this particular team, like stringing passes. I can't really say this is the particular pattern. Yes, you might say, oh, it's 8th grade, but this is at the level where you begin to see such discipline. And when those are lacking, I'm afraid.
You didn't see that in the game against Tunisia.
Even in the game against Tunisia, yes, the goals were coming.
Because the chances they created up to 20, right? I mean,
yes, they were quite good. The game against Gambia, the goal was scored at the 90th minute.
I asked you about the game.
I think the expectations
about the game against Tunisia.
Maybe the expectations were too.
I think the expectations were too high
because of
and even last week, because of the way they qualified, the way they were decimating, decapitating teams, before the competition. Okay. Now, having lost, they knew that okay, fine, let's just go and express ourselves because. Coming from all the expectations, okay, we're supposed to do this, we're supposed to do that because we beat all of the teams, even experiencing like 2 Nasarawa United and all that. So, looking at it critically, I would say that the boys did not give their all because we saw what they could do, but we need to do more. The tactical input and technical input were a little bit missing. Mm-hmm. There was lack of cohesion, and maybe the way that the philosophy was absolutely missing. You couldn't really place anything on it to say, okay, this is how we normally play our attacking. The pattern of attack, it's questionable. So if you look at the Tunisia game, you consider the fact that when it is about 3rd place matches, it's usually different. There's a lot less at stake, a lot less. Okay. So I would think that you cannot use the 3rd place match as a real measure of how good that team is. What we should use
how good they can be.
Okay, so we are projecting.
Yeah, because
and the question is
the reason I didn't want us to look at all the games that they played. I thought maybe they were growing in the game. They were growing in the tournament.
So did you see that? So you felt the 3rd place game. Maybe we should measure
because they scored 4.
No pressure.
That's what I'm asking.
Pressure for that
that's what I'm asking. If we can actually use this game to judge the players, so we can't use this game against Tunisia.
Let us not fault that effort because if they had lost. I'm sure we'll go out there, criticize them again and again. Totally castigating this team that they are not absolutely good. But they've shown they can score goals because last week we talked about the fact that they were just basically scoring a goal. They were not doing
I really want to disagree with that they've shown they can score goals, especially with what we've seen in this competition.
Yeah, but they did.
Even the coach himself has written to the IMC, according to his own words, that he wants the top 5 scorers in the league. And to see whether they're eligible.
And I think it's worrisome.
And see whether they're eligible to be invited. So if they fall under that 8th grade.
If they had been eligible, he would have played around with them. He would have brought them into the team before now.
It's easier to check. Imande Osarenfe, for instance.
Exactly.
How old is he? I mean, he's a graduate from University of Benin. Don't tell me he's on the 20.
He's not on the 20. Obioma is not on the 20.
Until you see his passport. Until you see his passport. Don't.
Yemi, we
Until you see his passport.
Yemi has started.
But, I mean, if we see Imade, I mean, if we see him at under 20, we'll protest. Yes.
You know, there were remarks made even
he-
about Agbalaka during the competition.
You will do what?
Okay, we have our guest. Okay, I mean, the man that's supposed to be here this Sunday is actually in the UK, so I will introduce him right now. Mr. Ken, good afternoon.
After chopping 7.
Sissy, hi. How you doing?
After 7,
right?
ran away. Eh? There's God, though.
I can see that you guys are enjoying your set, or you are enjoying yourself on the set. So I'm enjoying.
You have not answered what I. The 7, Unko. Let's talk about the 7.
All right, it's good to have you join us well, I'm happy that you're able to join us this afternoon. All right, we also have Mohammed Moise also joining us from Kaduna. Of course, we'll be talking about the Flying Eagles of Nigeria. He knows most of these players. And also, we have Dafe Otite also joining us from the UK. Moise, it's good to have you join us. Okay.
Thank you very much, and it's nice to be on the show. My pleasure.
Thank you. And Dafe, thank you also for joining us on the program.
Yeah, thank you for having me back. Thank you. I just want to correct one thing. I'm not a journalist before they come for me.
Okay.
I'm a blogger and commentator that specializes in Nigerian football.
Okay, so what does that make you? In summary?
It makes me a speaker and a commentator. I don't have the qualifications, and I'm not a union member.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
A sports commentator and a sports blogger. Yeah, that's right.
Noted.
Okay. Thank you so much. As well noted, yes. All right, let's talk about the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, their performance at the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt. From the very first game to the third place game that they played. Ken, I'll start off with you. What do you think overall?
Sissy, talking the Flying Eagles, take us back to why FIFA actually came up with this particular tournament. You understand? 1977, FIFA said, look, let us start it. And it started in Africa. That was where the first World Youth Championship took place in 1977. You know, by 79, the likes of Diego Maradona came in and joined when it went to Japan. And since then, it has been, it's where you say, okay, fine, let us harness the young players, identify them, give them tournament experiences, and then, a platform to showcase their talent, and then also visibility to clubs that might come and we can see the young players. This is now where we want to scout them and take them out. So that has been it. We've done so well, Nigeria has done so well in the past, from that, when we joined them. I think they won the World Championship in 1977. By 79, after the World African Youth Championship started. So we've been there since then. And when we hit running, it has been Nigeria, 7 championships. But then it is not just about the winning, like people say. It is developmental, it is identification, it is nurturing, it is pushing up. But for this championship so far, I think I want to leave it to the 2 experts in the house, to Moise and Dafe. Probably let Dafe give us his take on it, and Moise knows these players in and out, and probably we can move on from there.
All right, over to you, Moise. I'll start off with you first concerning the players. As Ken mentioned, you know these players very well. Are they good enough to actually represent Nigeria at the World Cup later in the year?
All right, thank you very much, Sisi. No team is entirely good enough to play at a particular event. There will be 1 or 2 omissions, 1 or 2 names that should be in the list, 1 or 2 players who you felt were controversially asked, 1 or 2 players which, in my opinion, should have made the team. But then again, I am not the coach. It's the decision of the coach to make a team. But one thing we are missing out from this team is that this is a team that started around 18 months ago. If you have been taking notes, you will notice that the team that went to WAFU is different from the team that went to the AFCON.
Yes.
Now, the team that is going to the AFCON is going to be a lot different from the team that is going to the World Cup, because we are expecting 1 or 2 new names in it. Something happened that brought about the team that were blowing everybody away during the preparation in Abuja is not the same team that went to the AFCON. So what happened? These are several things that we should look into because the back four that played in the third place match,
yes,
including the goalkeeper, none of them was at the WAFU tournament. Benjamin Frederick was there, but he was there as an alternate player. In the midfield, only Onuche was at WAFU that followed them to the AFCON in that third place match. In the attack, only Ahmed Abdullahi, who was a substitute and missed the final 2 games of the tournament, was at the WAFU tournament in Niger Republic. So several changes have happened to that team. And Sisi, I want to go with you. Most Nigerians don't see the way you did, the way I did. But I'll tell you this, they improved as the tournament progresses. They improved. But a lot of us won't see because we are after this typical Nigeria style of play. We want to be entertained, we want to see goals. But even this tournament, goals were in short supply. The Senegalese coach confessed that the toughest team we played at the tournament was the Nigerian team. So the Nigerian team is still a work in progress. And for the first time in a very long time, we had this process where the NFF was keen on weeding out age cheats. Very keen on it. Very keen on it. Very keen on it. I've not seen that kind of desire before. And that is why you see that the team was packed filled with players from football academies and players who have played only one season or into their first season in the NPFL. There's a reason behind that. More like saying, we don't want to cheat anymore. We want to do it this way and put our focus now on the future. That route, I think, is partly why we compete enough in the boys. Ali Ruseriki was from the last under-17 team.
Yeah.
Ahmed Abdullahi from the last under-17 team.
Yes.
Aminu Mohammed from the last under-17 team. The goalkeeper Chidoke was with the under-17 team 2 years ago. Benjamin Frederick was drafted from the under-17 team of last year to the under-20 team. Daga was drafted from last under-17 team to the under-20 team. So it's just we are trying to do something, and Onuche is even well populated. I mean, he's even well popularized. Onuche's case. After the WAFU, he went back to school and write his WAEC.
Yes.
From Fosla Academy. He's only 6 games now for Nasra United in the league. So we are trying to do something correctly, and doing that correctly, we should expect that our team will pass through this stage. That is my own opinion.
Okay, thank you very much for that submission. Let's go to Dafe. Dafe, I mean, you watched this Flying Eagles from their very first game to the third place match they played against Tunisia. Now, what do you think of their progression from the game against Senegal and, of course, their final game against Tunisia in the third place match?
I think there's one thing we say about Nigerian teams, and when we go to tournaments, we normally start very, very slowly. We typically struggle through the group stages, or we hardly ever come top in the group stages to move ahead. We struggle because the players have all been cobbled together. They're getting to know each other, they're getting to know each other's runs, what they want, and then the play gets better and better and better. If you look at from the Gambia game to the Tunisia game, the cohesion was a lot more than that Egypt game that we won even, or the Mozambique game. And I think this stems from our Nigerian way of doing things. Like Moise said, this team is very different to the WAFU team. The wholesale changes, and those wholesale changes come at a cost. And it comes at the cost of the players not being familiar with themselves and understanding themselves more as they play on. Now, this team, it grew in the tournament. We're expecting a few more changes coming towards the World Cup. But there's one thing that might hamper us. The World Cup, Under-20 World Cup, is going to be a little bit difficult to get player releases because most European clubs are still playing their league. They're coming to the end of the league because of the FIFA Senior World Cup that held late last year, that break. So the league is actually extended. So this Under-20 World Cup will start a week before most of the leagues and most of the youth league finish in Europe. So it's going to be difficult to get players in unless they want to forfeit the first match and then have the players join them. But then again, we're talking about this cohesion. How easy to get a player come in mid-tournament. We saw it with Ahmed Abdullahi. The first match that he came in, he didn't train with these new players, and the first match that he came in, he struggled, and if I'm not mistaken, he got a red card.
Red card,
yes, so it's going to be tough, but we do need to strengthen this team. But we can't go back to the old wholesale changes of call a fresh 40 people, weed out, and then change half of the squad. That's going to be counterproductive.
Interesting. I mean, it's just new changes. Let me go to Maurice. I mean, you mentioned that most of these players, that the waffle and also warm-up games, we didn't see them, in Egypt. Now, can we bring back some of these players, or was it because of age? Maybe that's the reason some of these players were discarded, in quotes, and of course you have to bring in new players. And do we need to also bring in, because you already mentioned that the players that will be going to the World Cup will be different from this one. Do we need to really see that? Can't we just groom these players and maybe add one or two and build this squad, because we still have some time to the World Cup?
Well, Sisi, you are trying to put me on the spot regarding that. I'll try to evade your question a bit and just add a bit by telling you that some of them have discrepancies in their documents. I won't go beyond that statement. Some of them have discrepancies in their document. It's very, very natural for a Nigerian to have issues of poor documentation, and we didn't want to take chances. And there were also allegations of players who traveled previously and then returned with a different passport and all that. There were also allegations of players who played in CAF tournaments with a different age as opposed to the age that they used in playing the WAFU tournament. There were actually players who ages on the DTMS does not tally, that's the domestic transfer matching system. Their aging tally with the age that they submitted to the under-20 team. So before, there was no time to get all of these things done, and those who are able to clear their issue will be admitted back to the team. Now, I am of the opinion that I have never supported the sacking of any under-20 coach who qualified for the World Cup. I have never done that before, and I don't think I belong to that school of thought, because I feel like these players are going to go to somewhere that are going to get exposure. Getting exposure means we're already grooming them for the future. We have never won the under-20 World Cup. How ironic! We've never won the under-20 World Cup. So it's not this edition that we are going to say we must win it, otherwise we fire the coach, or you want to bring in some gangster Mourinho kind of coach to come and win it for you. I really don't think we have that clout yet. I don't think we have that commitment. And going back to what Dape said about the foreign-based players, there were some foreign-based players who were in the camp of the team but had to leave due to one or two things. And there are some foreign-based players who said to the coach, we will not be able to make it down for the AFCON because it's happening in the middle of the season, but we'll be playing in the World Cup, which is happening towards the end of the season. And most of these players are playing in the youth league. We can't get a starter to play for Nigeria at the under-20 World Cup. It's going to be very, very difficult. But we should be targeting rather players who are on the verge of making their first team debut for their respective teams. I remember one funny thing happened. A goalkeeper was invited. I was in Abuja when the invitation came. His name is Owen Goodman. He plays for Crystal Palace. He's played with the first team a couple of times. He's been on the bench in the Premier League and stuff like that. So Owen Goodman was invited to the Nigerian under-20 team, and he turned the invitation down. If Owen Goodman has accepted that invitation, we wouldn't have known the Chijoke, the goalkeeper that came in after the first game. And to me, it was one of the success stories of this very tournament. Sometimes, even if we take our mind away from the fact that we are not going there to compete, we should be able to pick one or two players. It's never too much if you have 3 players from a youth team make the progression to the first team. It's a luxury if you have 6 or 7, but the idea is let us just have players who will use this tournament as a springboard to build their career and probably in the future play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So wholesome changes. I'm not thinking Boso will go by that. Boso told me particularly he's not planning, and like Sisi said, he's looking at beefing up his attack. That attack line is 0. I understand he cried out for attackers since we were in camp, since when the team was in camp and all that. That attack line is 0. The attack has to go, and Boso has admitted that he will have to perform some surgical operation on the attack. The defense to me is fine. The midfield to me is fine. It's just that attack. You can't be that wasteful going into the World Cup. So I think we just need, like Sisi said, 3-4 players and we are good.
Okay, 3-4 players and we are good. Leave the coach, 3-4 players, they will be ready for Indonesia in May. All right, let me quickly go to Dafe here. Now, final one from you concerning the Flying Eagles of Nigeria. Moise already established that maybe the forward line we change that, but every other one can stay. But what do you? Okay, well, we'll get back to immediately after this break. Yeah, welcome back. Yes, I was going to ask Dafe concerning the attack line, forward line, and also the new players we can actually bring in to see how the London Bossos boys can perform at the World Cup in May.
I think it's not just the attack. We were having a brief discussion just now. We also need one or two players to link the midfield with attack, because there's one thing having very good attackers. There's another thing feeding them with the ball. Like Moise said, there were several players that joined in the training who could not attend AFCON or who were called back to their clubs. These players are known to the coach. We also have some very good midfielders in the Italian under-19 league that have come from our Nigerian academies. Typically, a lot of our players are taken before they're even picked before the national team.
Yes.
So when you look at people like Ebenezer Samiro, look at Victor Letu, they're playing both Milan teams. Those are people that can boost our midfield, and those are people that can provide strength in depth. Because, okay, yes, we have a couple of good midfielders, but we also need somebody on the bench who is just as good as those people on the pitch. Like we were discussing previously, when you look at Nigerian national teams, typically we have a very good first team, but very few options on the bench. And a lot of the time, we replace like for like when we are doing substitutions, just to continue doing what we have been doing and taking out people because they're tired. So some of those players that came to the camp, like the Joel Ideho, the Olapomi and co, they might come back into the team to bolster. But we need to look at through the team, through the spine of the team, making sure if there's a problem with the spine of the team, we have somebody just as good who can join into that spine of the team in order to make sure that one person coming out doesn't make the team collapse.
Okay. Maurice, let's look at Senegal right now. I mean, let's leave the Flying Eagles and just wrap this up with Senegal. What the team, what that country has been doing. We'll take a look at the Nations Cup. They won it. Chan, they won it. Beach soccer, they won it. Now, under 20, they are winning it. What do you think they're doing right? Maybe something we can actually copy from them, because the guests right here in the studio have agreed that maybe we need to go the way of Senegal to actually be that successful again.
I want to agree with what the guys in the studio said earlier about borrowing a lead from a very, very successful Senegalese model. It has really worked for Senegal. But you have to look at the Senegalese model working on the back of Generation Foot. Generation Foot is one of the most highly rated football academies in Africa. Now, Generation Foot has an interface with teams, not just teams in Africa. They also have interface with teams all around the world and all that. So that has enabled the Senegalese players to use that springboard to launch their career. We need to have functional football academy. We need to have functional football academy. All that is happening to Senegalese football is actually planned. It's not something that just started from heaven. You know, Generation Foot is an academy. Is a football team that was actually formed in 2000. I mean, in 2000, it's just 12 years old, and then 12, 13 years old, you can see what they're already doing. So this is a long-term plan. The players who went to represent Senegal at the Chan Championship, where 6 of them or thereabouts were at the under-20 AFCON. They all play for Generation Foot. The coach that is handling the under-20 team also came from Generation Foot. Generation Foot is being powered by some ex-internationals of the Senegalese team and all that. So it's like it's a well-thought-out plan. Here we have ex-internationals who really don't care about opening up academies, using their connections to bring some development back home, taking coaches for courses and all that. You know, there's this thing people always say, Nigerians will always say, why is Ladan Bosso still the man handling the under-20 team? I'll always give them this reply that there is a minimum qualification you need to sit on the bench in CAF tournament. That minimum qualification is CAF A. CAF A. We have not had any CAF course in Nigeria for the past 8 years. So we have coaches on CAF C, on CAF B, who are yet to move up to CAF A. If you don't have CAF A, you can have UEFA A. We have coaches who have UEFA A, and one of them was originally supposed to handle this under-20 team. His name is Finidi George, but he picked the Super Eagles assistant job because obviously that's a quicker route to managing the Super Eagles, which is his dream, than managing the under-20 and then needing to build up your CV before you handle the Super Eagles. So it was Finidi's decision to reject the under-20 job and instead go with the Super Eagles assistant job that made Boso return as under-20 coach. Why is Boso there? He has CAF. We have other coaches of Nigerian descent who have, or even Nigerian ex-internationals who have CAF, who have UEFA A abroad, who have gone outside Nigeria to get CAF A and all that. But this is it. This is an era where everybody is thinking about going abroad. Japa is what you hear all left, right, and center. Will somebody leave his job in Belgium, leave his job in France, leave his job in Sweden, leave his job in the Netherlands, leave his job in Switzerland, leave his job in England to come and coach the Nigerian under-20 team? Why? Where you might go 15 months like Ladan Boso without pay? That's the big question we should ask ourselves. So unless we cannot attract some of the coaches many people think that we can attract, we can't attract those coaches because we don't really have our houses in order yet. No coaching course for 8 years. How can these coaches be graded? And why did they stop giving us coaching courses? It's very, very funny that every time there's a coaching course in Nigeria, everybody who sits for the course passes. So CAF smelt a rat and then suspended coaching courses in Nigeria. And for 8 years, we didn't have any coaching course. So people like Ladan Boso and Co, who still have their CAF A licenses, are the ones that are eligible by CAF standard to sit on the bench. So that is why we still have these coaches who are there. The best we can do is to support these coaches to give us the best that we will use in the future. Because I still believe youth team tournaments are not to be won. Yeah. Youth team tournament is developmental. Let's stay with that.
All right, we'll stay with that. Dafe, you wrap this up for us, the Senegalese team. I mean, what did they do right for them to be this successful so far, from, of course, the Nations Cup to beach soccer and even to the underage tournament?
I think we can't just look at Senegal by themselves. Their neighbor there, Morocco, are also doing very, very well.
We've overflogged Morocco, so we're looking at Senegal right now.
Yeah, but the fact is consistency. The fact is honesty. The fact is wanting to grow the game rather than our Nigerian mentality of we must hammer, we must win everything, we must. We want to be the best all the time. Sometimes you have to take baby steps and consolidate ground before you take the next step and the next step. Like Moe said, this generation foot started 13 years ago, and we've seen where they have. We do have our own academy within Nigeria, but unfortunately, a lot of these academies, their best players go to Europe even before Nigeria has a chance. When you look at someone like FC Abede, they have a link with Midtjylland. I mean, they produced Super Eagles players for us. They produced Onuachu. They produced Raphael Yedika. They produced Franco Yeka. But these are players that only come into the senior team. There are a lot of players that they've sent abroad, but those three are the three that have made the grade, if you like. There's Beyond Limits as well. They're making waves in Italy as well. So we have these things, but the fact is, our players, like Moe said, the mentality is Japa. Let's get them out there. Let's get them into good contracts, as opposed to let's grow them and then do something with the national team as well. Yes. So we need to make that link. That is not only sending players abroad, but we should also grow them within the company, and that comes with the football ecosystem within Nigeria. Is it conducive for development of players? We spoke about development of coaches, but if you can't develop your coaches, how are you going to develop your players? We can't rely on natural talent alone. That doesn't work. You also need organization. You also need to make those steps. And saying that we have not had a CAF A coaching course in Nigeria over 8 years, we should fix that. So you can't just fix one thing. There are a lot of things that go into the foundation. And then once we've got that foundation, then we take the next step and the next step. You don't just roof a house quickly after putting up the structure. You have to make sure that the structure is sound before you start putting the building blocks. Otherwise, it will only collapse in the end.
All right, Dafe, Oti, and of course, Moise, thank you so much, guys, for joining me on a Sunday afternoon.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, thank you, Maurice. Hope to have you guys some other time. Yep. Okay, back to the studio, guys. All right, just 30 seconds. Wrap this up. I mean, I love the academic aspect. Do we regulate our academy?
I think
regulate it.
Basically, baby steps, like Dafe had said, is very important. Because the truth is, for any league to survive, to thrive, and to stay viable and profitable, licensing requirements must be properly articulated and ensured to have been seen that everybody is complying, because at the end of the day, part of the licensing requirement is that you have a functional academy that is supposed to be a conveyor belt for the professional team. But if you are not professionally run, how can you have a functional academy? So you have said now Senegal is doing something right, but the question is, are we going back to check what our teams are doing, the teams in the Premier League? What are they doing as regards the academy? What are we doing about on the 15 league? Yes, there and there we've had it like they go on sabbatical at times, maybe not so consistent. What about the under 13? Because ordinarily what you should be having is the under 13s.
You don't have to throw so much stone.
No, we're not throwing stones. What I'm saying basically is these are the things that we need to work around
and go back.
Okay, we're seeing that they have succeeded. Now, what exactly is responsible for that success? What they did with generation, consistency, focus. So if we are determined to go back there and go check what we are doing and what we are not doing well, then we can actually use that as a launch pad to get in it right.
More than 30 seconds.
So, my people will say, any idol that you're worshiping, and you're driving the children away from it, it will eventually die, because they are supposed to be the one who will take over from you. So now, if you're looking at progression, just like Moyi said, if you're focusing on the main actors, who are the players? What about the coaches? So you're looking at getting good students and you don't have teachers. You're looking at getting good students, you don't have teachers with the requisite certificate. Man, you don't do things that way. You don't put the capacity building. What's the role of NIS in all of this? It's not rocket science. But like Muyi said, every time the exam is written here, everybody passes. So it shows that Nigerians are brilliant. I don't want to think otherwise. So if CAF wants to be sure, it's not about just taking the stuff away. Put proper invigilators, send in external examiners like other examination bodies.
I'm not sure you're supposed to blame CAF for that.
No, I'm not blaming them. But you can't also blame us for everybody passing. So maybe, like I said, CAF is smelling the rat. What if we're all well prepared for it?
Let's go back CAF and tell them that we'll be good, we'll be transparent, and then bring it back so that we'll have more coaches. All right, Ken, I mean, it's been an interesting discussion. You asked me to throw it to the expert, and the expert is spoken because they know these teams very well. Just in one minute, 1 minute, you wrap it up. 60. The Flying Eagles. So good to Victor Osimhen.
The Flying Eagles. Let's see. Like I said, it is developmental. Winning is just a bonus. I do feel that by the time we go to Indonesia, we should have a team that will be proud of. But then, like we say, how many of them will progress? That is my focus. How many will progress? To win the World Cup for Nigeria, probably in 2026.
All right, 2026. That will be where we will be, and by then we should have a team that we really can be proud of. All right, Victor Osimhen is going to be next. Of course, we'll talk about him because, I mean, during the week, he was named the best foreign player in Italy. I mean, best foreign athlete, not just player. So, overall, the best in that country. We'll be talking about him, but that will be after this report, and maybe Yemi is going to give way for, not Yemi, Jimmy is going to give way for Yemi to come in on the program.
Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen is on the verge of leading Napoli to a first Italian Serie A title in more than 30 years. Scoring 19 goals in 21 games is making the 24-year-old an icon in Napoli. But the Nigerian international believes that status can only be achieved when he wins the Scudetto.
Of course, we have been doing quite well this season. It's been really good. The fans were amazing. The coach, the staff, everyone, the president. And I just want to say, I don't consider myself as an icon yet until I achieve the objective in which the club has set for itself this season. So after that, I think we have a very big chance of being named an icon.
With 13 games to go, Napoli are favourites to Serie A glory, having a 15-point advantage over second-placed Inter Milan. Shops are now selling cakes and Easter eggs decorated with Osimhen's trademark face mask, which he wears on the pitch following a face injury.
As a football player, when you arrive in Napoli, you fall in love even more with football, because I think they probably base their whole life on the game and the support for their team and also the city. So to be able to try to give them something to remember is a big mission for me, and I really want to put a smile on their faces, because for the love they have shown me since I came here 2020, it has been overwhelming. So for me to repay them back, I have to give my all on the pitch and make sure I make them very, very happy.
Having been named Best Foreign Player for 2022, Osimhen feels he has yet to achieve what late Diego Maradona, whom he calls a demigod, has done for the club.
Even though we have a very, very big chance in winning the Scudetto and doing so well even in the Champions League, it wouldn't compare to what Maradona has done for this club. Just like I say, he's a big, more than a legend for them. He's a demigod, and for us, we do this as a group. He alone did it for Napoli. I think we cannot compare, even though we win the Scudetto, we cannot compare what he has done for the club. And with what we are doing now is we draw inspiration from what he has done, and we are trying to make him even proud in heaven.
Deliver this award to one of the best players.
In Rome, where he was given a prize by the Foreign Press Association, he hinted at a future move to England's Premier League.
I think playing in one of the top 5 leagues in the world is amazing feeling for me and a good feat. But of course, a lot of people worldwide consider the Premier League as the best and the strongest league. But of course, I'm on a process. I'm in a phase. So now I'm in one of the best league in the world, which is the Italian Serie A. Of course, I'm working so hard to make sure that I achieve my dream in playing, of course, in the Premier League someday.
Maradona remains Naples' biggest hero after winning their only 2 league titles in 1987 and 1990. Osimhen, who is in his 3rd season at Napoli after previous stints in the Bundesliga with Wolfsburg and in League One with Lille, is Serie A's top scorer this season.
Yeah, the kind of accolades Victor Osimhen is receiving because of his exploits with Napoli. Yes, his dream is actually to play in England someday, and he's working so hard to be there. I hope the pressure will not be so much on him with Manchester United and Arsenal. And of course, I had Chelsea, kind of running, trying to see if they can snap him up next season. Boyemi Ajala is right here in the studio. Boyemi, it's good to have you.
Thanks, Sissy,
Love the fact that we have Yemi.
And I think it's not me fit being the best foreign sport, not footballer, sport athlete in Italy. I think it's a great milestone for the young man, Victor Osimhen.
Yeah, and the comparison is already on. I mean, with when I spoke with Omar Katupa on Tuesday, I was on Tuesday, people trying to compare him with Diego Maradona, and he said, look, don't even go there. I mean, miles apart. Yes, he will become an icon if he's able to win Scudetto. They've not won in 33 years, so it's a huge one. Of course, the goals he has scored, 19. I mean, that's remarkable. 19 and 21. That's remarkable for a player like him.
Absolutely. He's had a terrific season. It's a partnership with Chiva.
Yeah.
As giving them that 18-point lead in the Scudetto. So they have it all to themselves to lose if they actually lose it. And don't forget that apart from winning on the back of winning the foreign athlete of the year, in January he won the player of the month.
Of the month, yes.
He even scored the goal of the month in that supplying volley against AS Roma. So everything has worked well for Osimhen this season. And like you said, with the likes of Manchester United, what's it called? Arsenal, even Chelsea looking to say, oh, we might take this player. And with Napoli now trying to renegotiate a contract so that they can tie him down to a longer contract. With respect to his comparison with Maradona. I think it's too early, and I love the way he's also playing it down to focus on this particular season and get what is the most important for them, which is winning the Scudetto.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he wins Scudetto with the team, okay, if he wins or when, okay, let me use the word, when he wins Scudetto with the team, where will you put Osimhen in terms of the great of Napoli? Let's remove Maradona, because...
Yes, again, without Maradona, there will not be a Napoli, so to speak. Of course, Maradona also had the privilege of playing with other great stars like Careca, the great Brazilian forward. And so they did even the double. They won the UEFA, won the Scudetto, and they could have even done more. But recall that then you have to be a champion in your domestic league to play the old Champions Cup. So, but for now, Osimhen is riding on the wing. Take nothing away from him. Napoli, they made this consistent investment in trainer. You had Ancelotti, all of the Sarri, all of them have been there. So they made this deliberate investment, Benitez and co. So, but they've always bottled up the title chase. But I think now everything is coming together with a certain Osimhen being the missing link in all their years. So Higuain was there, they could not do it. So winning the Scudetto will make him a legend in Napoli. And of course, now you have the stadium named after Diego. Diego already won the league, the World Cup before winning the Scudetto. Osimhen has not done anything apart from the Junior World Cup. But I think winning that, you could have the training pitch or the state of the airport named after Osimhen years after this feat.
Interesting. I really want to see that. Yeah, I'd love to visit someday if it happens. All right, let's leave Victor Osimhen. Talk about the English Premier League. Yes, the reason for this is simply because of what happened. Okay, before we go to the English Premier League, I mean, can the channel go? You know, it's always cool when you're here. This UK thing is not helping me.
No way. We want to see now the stadium actually is Diego Maradona Stadium. They are playing Diego Maradona. So that Maradona has already taken the stadium itself. Probably we'll see a stand named after Victor Osimhen right there in Napoli. The young man is has done himself so well. His stock keep rising, and he's also doing the right things. He relates to the fans. You understand? You see, just in their last game they were playing, he saw a fan waving a flag that has his photograph. What did he do? He ran to a cameraman, say, "Take that guy, ask him, go and collect his number. I will call him." Osimhen is connecting with the fans. He is doing it right on the pitch and off the pitch. His stock keep rising and rising and rising. And I tell you, there is a superstar coming. In the summer, we are going to see Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Manchester United, all the big teams in the world going for Osimhen. And then Napoli will just be smiling because they will collect the Scudetto and they will also collect it.
All right. We need to go on a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about how Liverpool went from 7th heaven to 1 hell. All right, welcome back. Time to talk about the English Premier League, of course. Premier League, English Premier League. And we'll start with what happened to Chelsea. Chelsea bouncing back from what happened, after they've had some series of losses. How many games have they lost? I think 11 or... I lost count at a point. But against Leicester City, they were clinical. They're telling us that what happened to Borussia Dortmund wasn't a fluke. Consistency, and that's what everyone has been talking about, and that's what they gave us on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, against them, Leicester City. Let's say they redeemed themselves again. The coach Potter has been under severe pressure. They've been winning just once every month, but now again they defeated Leicester 3-1 yesterday, easing a lot of pressure, and I think they actually dominated that particular game. The score could have been even a lot more than that, but they did well, winning that one and putting the 3 points in the bag to ease the pressure on their coach, Potter.
Okay. For me, I think that is just their level. I don't think they did anything extraordinary. This season, I think that is just the level. Chelsea this season has been a mid-table team, and I think playing Leicester City also equally this season a lower table team. That is why we're having this kind of result, not because the Chelsea team this season has been spectacular or was spectacular yesterday. So I think they just found their rhythm around a team across their wavelength.
Nothing spectacular. All right. Of course, Leicester City also, they've been inconsistent this season also. So both sides meeting, so there could only be one winner. And then the winner happens to be the one who won the Champions League the weekend. So they're still 10th on the log, 26 games and 37 points. That's Chelsea. Okay. Let's get the post-match reaction from the game. Okay, we can get Graham Potter and, of course, the post-match from Brendan Rodgers. Ken, concerning Chelsea, Leicester City, Leicester could have done a better job, but somehow there were no match for Chelsea, who happens to find a new form.
See, there's this I always say. When Potter was not getting it right, they were already calling for Buhari, throw him away. But here is a club that is focused, and that is the issue. The thing is, there is no way you invest and you will not get a return, your ROI, your return on your own investment. And that is what the new owners of Chelsea are doing. Get the best players available. Get a decent coach to take them. And before you know it, you are going to see results. And that is the thing. Just patience. Look at what they did. They got that result at home. They went to, got Dortmund up, they got better of Dortmund, and here again got better of Leicester, and the team is gelling. The players will come in. If you total quality management, if you improve all the sides, if we improve all the parts, all the compartments, there is no way the whole will not improve. That is just the thing, and that's what they are seeing for Chelsea. They won't win the league this season. They are too far gone. They may make top 6. I don't know. They may make top 6. We still have about 12 matches to go. So a lot of things up there. But watch out for this team next season. The owners are still ready to buy. They still have about 30 players on loan that are growing with other clubs. So Chelsea is a team that has a solid foundation. And this coach, they didn't just pluck him from the air. He was brought to Chelsea based on his work at Brighton. I think I see a good future for Chelsea. I see a good future for this team. And the owners, if they are patient with this coach, I think they will reap the desired results.
Yeah, maybe it may take them 2 seasons to build, because I listened to one of his interviews when he mentioned that when you have 30 players, I mean, it's hard for you to actually pick and you don't have a superstar in their midst. And I asked him, maybe Aubameyang is no longer a superstar. I used to think he is, but apparently he has fizzled out from that class. So, okay, let me come to you. Ken mentioned that they said they're still ready to buy. 600 million, that's what they've spent since they took over Chelsea. 600 million pounds, not dollars, not naira, pounds, in pounds. That's what they've spent, to buy players, and they have more than 30 players that are there. Do you want them to bring in more players next season, or they should just have this on built, because they're trying to form consistency now, understanding each other?
You look at the risk profile of the investors. It's quite different from when we had Abramovich. Okay. Abramovich was someone that was insatiable with titles. He just wanted titles.
Obsessed with it.
Yes, he had this obsession with titles. No matter who the manager is, no matter how close the relationship is, once you are not delivering, you just have to make way. But you are looking at the Americans, that they have a model. They are looking at something. They just came in there talking about, let's play a stars match, just model after the American kind of game. So their own profile suits some, not necessarily titles. Yes, titles will come, but let's have this glamour, this glaze return back to the sport. And I think that is where they are going. So by the time they are their own model of Galacticos, naturally results will roll in. So they are more for the long stretch than their former owners. So that is what we are not used to with Chelsea. We've been used to a decade of Abramovich, ash and rash that leads to success.
So it's hard for us to actually comprehend what's currently going on at Stamford Bridge.
I'm sure a lot of Chelsea fans, they don't want to have that, because they are used to having titles.
They're used to winning. Every season, let him go.
They're already calling for Graham Potter's
to leave. They don't want to check, wait till the end of the clock.
And just like Okwe said, this is the first time Chelsea is signing a coach on a long time.
5 years.
Ibrahimovic doesn't do that.
2-3 years. And then if you don't, pay you off and you go. All right, talk about the team. Last Sunday, right, when these guys were talking about Manchester United, I was listening to them. And Liverpool, it's usually a big game for both sides. But in 92 years, Manchester United had never lost to Liverpool at Anfield as much as 7 goes to nothing. But then what happened on Saturday? Apparently, after scoring maybe Salah and the front line that Klopp said happens to be this new forward line, he's impressed with them. They're the best. These guys, they fired blank because Bournemouth beat them by a lone goal. Bournemouth that, almost had a draw with Arsenal, but somehow Arsenal championship mentality, they got a 3-2 out of there and they got all 3 points. Mo Salah missing the penalties, but that wasn't a miss. That was like, I don't know, a blast. Exactly. Whatever he did with that penalty. What do you guys think about Liverpool? Their inconsistency this season. I thought they found the form, going from the game against United. Of course, their previous Premier League games that they've won.
What does it profit Liverpool to beat Manchester United 7-0 and now go onward the week after to go lose to Bournemouth 1-0? The inconsistencies that have plagued them this season has come back again to haunt them. After that scintillating performance against Manchester United, people felt, they've turned the corner in the league and they will go on in the ascendancy from there. But behold, that was not to be. As even with the gift of that particular penalty,
yeah.
Salah, the almighty Salah, couldn't convert that. For me, I don't see them salvaging anything this season. They're playing Champions League against Real, 5-2 down, taking that into Bernabeu. Yes, they've done it before in 2005, coming back 3-0 against AC Milan. They did it recently against Barcelona. But is this the same Liverpool team? With this attitude, I don't see them doing it. The only thing they can do is to strive to make a top 4. That's even looking mathematically impossible, currently, given the resurgence of Tottenham. So for me, I don't see them doing anything this season. They would surely go trophyless this season, but making the top 4 will be the miracle for 2023.
He said they're going to go trophyless. Beating the United 7-0, that's the only trophy you need. You don't even need any other one. But Liverpool this season.
We should not forget that Alex are like 3 cycle. I think for Klopp, we are used to his normal sabbatical year. I think, but for the first time, his sabbatical year this time would be a rebuilding period for him. Every other time, the 7th year he leaves. So for him now, you can see the deliberate investment to the future. He's making a real under 21. Do you understand? Real under 21. So he has the cast. All he needs to do is against next season, and that is why he needs the Champions League so that he can get real prospect for the team. This year they know, and we should not forget what they achieved last year. I don't think we'll ever see that in a long time to come, because playing all the matches in the 4 competitions is no mean feat. But the only drawback was they won the lesser 2 and missed the bigger 2. So we should not forget the energy, the intensity of last season is something that is hurting this team now. And I think for this season, they know they have to rebuild. And that you don't allow Sadio Mane to go if you don't want to rebuild. So for them, it's their own rebuilding phase. And I think they will get that top 4. They will get it this season.
Getting top 4. Ken, you're going to wrap this up for us because we're about to leave in the studio right now. After 7-0 last Sunday, I don't know how you were feeling, when you were watching that game. The goals just kept rolling in. The floodgate was open, and then once you see them, 8 shots, 7 goals. But now it was hard for them to even score one against Bournemouth.
It would have been 8 shots, 8 goals, because everything that does pass the defense went straight into the net. But that is it. You win some, you lose some. Like just what the best said there. The club they're investing. They brought in Darwin Núñez, a predator. They grabbed that ahead of Manchester United. Making up for the money and the exit. And Firmino still leaving them at the end of the season. So they're already planning for the future. You just 1 or 2 players. It took Alex Ferguson, just a chance, because there was nowhere anybody thought that he was going to sign Cantona. They just got a call and said, look, with £1 million you can take this guy. And that was the final jigsaw. Everything he turned after them, he touched that and turned into goal. So the same thing with Klopp. He's now a Merseyside. He has done so much for the team. He understands, he has that DNA. And if he's there for a long haul, it's a long marriage. Ferguson was there for 26 years. If you can keep this man for that much, I tell you, definitely Liverpool will come. They have a team, they have a foundation. Van Dijk is there, the midfielders are there. You just get about one or two or three other players by next season, and they will come. They will become more competitive.
All right, Ken. That's it on the program for today. Did I say thank you so much for joining? No, I won't say you thank you. I won't tell you thank you. You just have to drop your pen. So I sign out the ones in the studio.
Where is my pen? I will drop
You
my
don't
pen
have
next
it.
week. Thank you, Sisi. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been a
See you
pleasure being
again
part of the
next
show.
week or maybe next 2 weeks. Yeah, elections is up,
Yeah,
so
that's
we'll
the
be
upper
opening
week.
the studio like
Yeah. The elections take over next week, so it will be the upper week. Yeah.
All right, thank you guys for coming on the program. By Yemi and of course Yemi.
The pleasure is ours.
Thanks. Sport is grassroots, so next election is actually grassroots. So I think the voters and the contestants should be more sport-minded and ensure gamesmanship.
Sports. All right. Just look at sports. What's happening? Football. What's happening, and then you understand how you can actually behave. Whether you win or you lose, you win. No violence. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Have a great day.